G'day and welcome to the next episode of Tech Adept Crafts. Today we are looking at very quick and simple dungeon rises. Now I know I said we'd do a 40k video, but it is year 12 trial exam time and I have been really busy the past couple of weeks. So I'm doing dungeon rises instead this week, and we've got the 40k video in prep ready for next week. What are dungeon rises? Well, if we have a look at the scene here, you're seeing a lot of the stuff that I have done in previous videos. The plaster molds, plaster casting. This little scene is normally fairly flat and static. With the addition of some simple blocks just to elevate it, we can have the dungeon moving in multiple layers. So I've made these dungeon rises, but now I discover I have not enough staircases to really make that useful. So again, this was relatively static in its pose. You could use these rises just as straightforward blocks that you could play out on as a dungeon. What I have done is combine the ideas of the texture rollers that I did back a number of episodes ago, and use that with foam that I had left over from doing the crystals, and have just simply cut up some of these rises just to elevate my gothic plaster dungeon. Now I have done two different types of dungeon tile. There is a grey one and a brown one. The grey one goes with the gothic dungeon. The brown one goes with another set that you haven't seen. It's a fieldstone dungeon set, but still in the plaster casting. One thing which I have discovered, which is not going to be shown in this video, is that I used the foam as is. I did not cut it any thinner. Now you may be able to tell that in here this is slightly too high. It's about one tile width too high. I would probably need to cut down about 5 mil off the bottom of these rises. I'd like to give a shout out to Colonel Corn and Liz May, who both noticed it was the Drider, or the half person, half spider, that was creeping around the scene last week and watching as I was painting and crawling through the mushrooms. I'm really liking those mushrooms. I'd also like to thank Lucas Dace Novasword, who is suggesting that I do another live stream when we get to 200 subscribers. I think that's a fantastic idea. It was what we were planning to do, and we are not that far away from 200 subscribers. So if you know a few friends that you think might like to watch my videos and tutorials, get them to subscribe and let me know, and I'll give you a shout out that you got someone else on board. If we get to that 200 subscription, very happy to do another live stream. That was a lot of fun for the last one, and looking forward to either continuing along with that red dragon or painting something else for another live stream. One final shout out to the guys over at NADPOD, Brian, Emily, Caldwell and Jake. Guys, so much looking forward to your next campaign. I am nearly finished the Bohemia campaign, playing a bit of catch up, but absolutely loving every moment of it, and can't wait to see what you guys come up with for the next one. If you'd like some terrain, offer is there. Would love to make you something and send it over. That'd be amazing to see it getting used by such fantastic role players as yourself. Anyway, for this episode, it is something that will be useful if you make dungeon tiles and would like to have multiple layers and twists and turns and alleyways going in under bridges, all that sort of stuff. This will be very useful. But if you wanted to just simply make dungeon tiles, you could modify this to be useful for just making straightforward dungeon tiles with this textured roller pattern. Enjoy the tutorial, and we'll see you at the end. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and leave a comment down the bottom as to what you'd like to see me tackle in future videos, and enjoy the tutorial. See you at the end. Cheers. Here we go, cutting out the foam on the Proxon hot wire cutter. I am first of all trimming off the edges, making sure that it is all nice and square. Next, cut strips that are 60 millimeters wide. Next, cut a variety of sizes of 60 millimeter squares, 90 and 120 millimeter rectangles. These are for different length corridor. I have 3 different texture rollers, one large paver for the tops, and then for the Gothic dungeon I'm using this large brick tile, and then for the Fieldstone one I'm using just a general stone texture. My placement of these side pieces is so that there is a tiny lip at the top that will allow the pavers at the top to look like they are like a flagstone or something that is placed on top of these bricks. This is now doing the pavers along the top. And once you've done that, just use your fingernail or any sort of sharp object or a pencil and just push down the edges there so that the flagstones look like they do go over that edge. Next layer, Mod Podge. This goes over the entire model. I even do the base of this, but you will need to do it in 2 steps so that you don't end up sticking it down onto the surface you get them to dry on. So paint most of it, leave a spot where you can hold it, and this Mod Podge will help to seal the foam, allowing it a little extra strength. Once that's dry, I paint the entire model with my dungeon mix of grey. Simple craft paint, white and black, mixed up into a bottle that I can use the same consistency each time. Over the entire model, but this time I don't paint the base. We're now dry brushing. Mix the white with a little bit of that grey and just dry brush over the entire model. This can be a fairly heavy dry brush, but easier to start light and work it up to a stronger dry brush. For painting the tops, you'll see I'm using a cross section, and each time I've painted one side, I then turn. I don't worry too much about the stripes that occur in each one, because as you layer over with each cross section, it gradually smooths out and you get a more natural look. The last step is applying the black ink to the Gothic set and the brown ink to the Fieldstone set. This ink wash comes from Black Magic Craft, and I'll put the link above. There you have it, the simple dungeon risers. Hope that you got something out of that video and enjoyed it. To any of my Year 12 music students that are watching this, good luck in your exams next week, which will be next week by the time this airs. And if you are watching, thank you very much for taking the time out of your studies to do so. Now get back to study. Post a comment down the bottom as to what the last thing was that you analysed. I'll give you a response. Anyway, thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, and let's get us up to that 200 subscriber mark and we'll do another live show. That will be a lot of fun. Anyway, until next time, keep painting and enjoy your hobby as always, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.